Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Jamestown DBQ Part 2. This is Mr. Williams, and I'm going to try to walk you through documents A, B, C, D, and E for your answer document. So that's our goal today. Without further ado, you should be able to see the screen, and one of my heroes is Mr. Ron Swanson, and that is his face when students don't use their sources and they just go with their gut reaction to something they kind of saw in the document. We got to use our sources. We want to get deep into this stuff. You guys love science because you get to use your hands and dissect stuff. This is dissecting. Now it's just like old written letters and stuff about people who died, big deal. But at the same time, it is people. It's people just like us, but in different circumstances. In this case, 400 years ago. So make sure you're using your documents. Make sure you're using your sources. Please make sure you're working with other people to get a dialogue going, to check yourself, to get a counterpoint, and to make that point consider this one, and both of them get up to here to what you guys think is the best possible answer that is actually really important and actually really matters. So without further ado, let's go on to our first documents. Maybe I'll move my face up here. We'll see if that's going to work. Might have to move it around. All right, ladies and gentlemen. First, we have source A. So this is for the kids who are doing source A. If you're not doing source A, skip ahead to source B or whichever one you need. So A, I'll try to do that if I remember. That'll help you out. So first thing we always want to do is check the source information. So we've got source, Jamestown's environment. It's written by a guy named Dennis B. Blanton, Center for Archaeological Research, College of William and Mary, Williamsburg, Virginia. So let's see. This is a university document. It's the College of William and Mary. Nice school out in not Maryland. It's from William and Mary College in Virginia. And hey, we know Jamestown is in Virginia. I think they'd be pretty interested in this situation. It's also from the year 2000. I think this might be a pretty valuable tool. It is from 2000. So if they're writing about a colony that was settled in 1607 and they're writing in the year 2000, was it going to be primary or secondary? Secondary. So this is nowadays people looking back at it. But it's kind of interesting. Many people have commented over the last 4 centuries on the qualities of Jamestown's environment. All right, so this is the brand new area they've dropped into. They get to choose anywhere they're going. They're going to Jamestown. And here's what we find out about it. Because the adjacent river and creeks became brackish as water levels rose. Brackish as water levels rose. Reliable sources of fresh water would have been scarce by the 17th century. So that means they're not around. There's not that many. The fresh, good water is scarce. And the key is it's becoming brackish. I put in a picture over here of brackish water. That should remind you, since you're in Encinitas, that should remind you of San Alejo Lagoon. And think about it. As water levels rose, they didn't have global warming, melting polar ice caps, so something else made water levels rise, when they're at a river, near a bay, near the ocean. So something else is making the water levels rise twice a day, lower twice a day. Has something to do with the moon. You guys have all seen this at the beach. So anyways, English colonists dug shallow wells to supply themselves with sources of drinking water. So they're not drinking straight out of the river. So that's important to know. I'm sure there was things going on straight out of the water, but we're not dealing with dumb people. They're going to do the best they can. They don't know everything, but they're not dumb. So they're drinking water from wells that they're digging, but it says right here, but these were vulnerable to drought and saltwater intrusion. Vulnerable means it's a dangerous situation for it. They're subject to problems. We know what drought is. There's not enough rain. So continued patterns of not enough rain. So these are going to be vulnerable to drought and saltwater intrusion. You don't want an intruder intruding into your house. So intrusion is when something comes in. And so once again, I refer to the picture. Do you want saltwater intruding into your freshwater? No. And let's see, it also says, also historian Carville V. Earl. I don't know that guy, but sounds pretty cool. Attributed disease in the earliest to Jamestown's position at the salt freshwater transition. So where the ocean saltwater is going to meet the river freshwater, because the river's flowing out this way, meeting there. And so they just happen to be at kind of a bad spot, kind of like in this picture, where the ocean water and the river water are going to meet. And how is he going to attribute that? He's going to say Jamestown's position at the salt freshwater transition, where filth introduced into the river, washing your dishes, maybe, remember, no one's peeing into the river, but they're also not going to have the most advanced sewage system. And maybe they're using river water to irrigate that and, flush that out. So I'm guessing there is kind of some sewage waste. But the filth introduced into the river is going to go away, but then it's going to tend to fester rather than flush away. It's not going to keep flushing like they want to. I'm guessing that thing that happens twice a day might bring that kind of stench and that filth back up a little bit. You know, when like San Alejo Lagoon, when it's got like a really high tide, the water goes up, everything gets nice and wet, and then when it goes really low tide, oof, that's stuff that's kind of festering around and rotting in the sun. So here's our definition of fester over here. You guys can check that. That's where you can pause and double check that. The island is not situated at a point of great natural food abundance. Now remember, you can use a river to irrigate your fields and your crops, but it's saying that the area relative to other locations very close by is not very good. So there's other locations close by that would have been better. They just got unlucky where they picked. And they're not experts. They just rolled up. They had to pick something. They picked a little island. Interesting. It does say fish are present. That's good. You guys love talking about fish removers. But look, it says fish are present in local streams, but only in the spring and early summer are they there in impressive abundance. Abundance means to have a lot of something. So there's only 2 seasons where there's going to be a lot of fish. Spring and summer, that's also when you're harvesting your crops. So it seems like the fish and your crops, you're going to have a lot of food at one time. But when is that other season? When everything's cold, leaves fall off the trees, there's not that much food around. Well, shoot, the one thing you could rely on, fish, because that's supposed to be around all the time, it's not there during the winter when your crops are gone, when you're kind of running low on crops. So that's what I've got to say about source A. I mean, we talked about the brackish water, the mixing of the waters. It talks about human waste. We showed that, and it says it's going to fester rather than flush away. I want you guys to process that. Again, don't just copy what I'm saying. Make sure you think about it. And then that's going to have effect on the health in Jamestown. Also, a big thing on health. When you're healthy, when you're well-fed, you're going to be healthier. When your body's getting attacked by viruses, germs, or whatever, and you're also not well-fed and you're not well hydrated, that's when your body's going to start to break down. That's what I've got for you on source A. B. That's my name, B. Let me move my camera over here. So now this is for the kids that are doing Jamestown source B. This one's pretty straightforward. Please make sure you guys are reading the source information. I know I did that last class, but this one has a big old note up here. You guys are going to need to read that to be able to answer the questions. All right. Let's see. Graphing rainfall index. So let's see. Here is the average. This is the median line. So this is over thousands of years, hundreds of years, whatever, or at least the years that we have records. This is normal. This isn't zero. This is just normal. Okay. Now anything up here is above normal. So anything here, these are years that had above average rainfall. Here are years that had below average. And now if we have a period of time that is below average and it goes on for a while, then that would be considered a drought. And here's the one that our settlers just happened to show up right in time for. Man, seems like they showed up right in. Well, let's check out those years actually. Let's check those out. So here's the key to the graph. We've got 1560 to 1600. That means 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, there's 40 years in between 1560 and 1600, and there's 4 little ruler marks here, little increments of time. So that means that each one of these lines, or the gap in between, represents how many years? 10 years. So this thing right here, this would be 1620 because it's halfway between 1600 and 1640. So this is 1620. This is 1610. Gosh, when did those guys show up? I'm going to have to think about that. I know it's in my background essay. Man, what year was that the settlers first showed up in Jamestown? When I point at you, you have to think and say the answer to your group. All right. So let's see. So if I click on this, there we got straight lines coming down. So if we were in class, I'd expect you to use your fingers and kind of line that up. Use a pencil, a ruler, something like that. Line that up. If this is 1610, then shoot, halfway would be 1605, right? Halfway would be about right here. So it seems like the drought, they're going to show up when a drought has already been going on for a year or two. And if this is 1610 and halfway in between 1610 and 1620, this would be about 15. Yeah, they're smack dab in that drought. And they're going to, the whole time that the settlers are trying to set up for that couple year period of getting their foot down or getting their feet on the ground, they're definitely dealing with a drought. That's not an ideal time. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we really need to be aware of here is in the questions, we've already talked about the spike, anything below. A spike would be a really sharp figure here, and that would show a year where there's not that much rain. But as soon as that spike turns into like a big iceberg bottom underneath, that's when you're going to get multiple years of very low rainfall. That would be a drought. And obviously we're looking at one, so make sure you know the difference between zero, that it's not 0 inches. It's just our average baseline. Let's see. So number 2, you're going to have to look at which of these times was the longest period of drought. It says, during which period did Jamestown suffer its longest unbroken period of drought? But again, the years that it's specifying is between 1580 and 1640. So here's 1640, here's 1580 right here. The longest drought overall, I would say it's this thing, but this is not in the window of time that we're looking for. This is from what, 1560 to 1575. We want to look from here on, 1580 on. So which one is the longest drought? Number 3, it tells us that the starving time. That's something famous you guys read about at starving time, when what, I forget what percentage or what amount, what ratio, what fraction of settlers died. It was a big chunk. You guys should know that. Make sure you include that on your answer for number 3. The starving time was 1609 to 1610. I want to say it's the winter as well. So would that have been in there? Absolutely. Smack dab in the middle of that. Now, the other big question, number 4 is a big deal. Is there any way the lack of rain might strain English and Native American relations? If you don't have water, what are you not going to be able to do? Pretty obvious answer, right? Don't just say you're not going to be able to drink water. No, there's something bigger. We're looking at survival through the seasons. You need plenty of food. There's a relationship between water and growing your own food. If you can't grow food, let alone have drinking water, I'm sure you're going to be able to get some near a river. But if you can't water your crops, and the crops aren't going to grow naturally, and you're just starting out, you don't have advanced technology that you've built in systems, this is going to be tough to grow food. So how is that going to strain relations? Now, are the English settlers the only ones going through this drought? No, it's the entire region. The entire region, all the Native Americans in the area are going through the drought as well. So what is that going to do to everyone's food supplies? So how is this drought going to exacerbate relations? That means, how is it going to make things worse between the English and the Native Americans? That's what I've got for you. Good, clear writing, express yourselves, make sure you know what's important to tell yourselves, tell your group members, and pass on to other people. Thank you. C, we're on Doc C. So next document for my next group. Let me move my little camera placement thing here, and let me restart my timer so I'm not too long and boring. C, document C. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, this is Jamestown source C. Remember, always start with your source information. We need to know who's telling us something, and is it reliable? So this is adapted from John Smith. You guys should know who John Smith is. Then again, we haven't done the greatest job of reading the textbook. I'm assuming you know something from the background essay, but the big deal about John Smith is he's going to become the leader. He's not the leader initially, but he's going to get fed up with the situation, and basically the whole settlement is just going down the drain. It is suffering, and he's the one that's going to snap people to work, and he's got this big slogan. I don't have my quote in front of me, but his big deal is, if you don't work, you don't get food. So everyone better get your butt in gear and start contributing. And that, let's see, that's going to be a big difference. And let's just say it's not going to go over well at first, but his leadership is going to start to work. So this is coming from his, you can see the title up here, his old-fashioned writing, The General History of Virginia, New England, and the Summer Isles. I have no idea what the Summer Isles. I'm not too much concerned with that. It's book 3, 1624. So this looks like it's going to come from his personal records, not his diary, like from the day to day that he was writing it, but it's coming from the book that John Smith wrote. That tells me a couple things. If I'm like, that Martian guy that we said, what was his name, Mark Watney, if I'm the first guy on Mars and I go through this amazing adventure and I survive, what am I going to write down? Well, same thing for me. I'm about to make a video for you guys as parents for back to school night. Am I going to give like the rosy picture? Everything's great. We're just going to talk about U.S. history. Everyone feel good. Am I going to leave it at that? Or I'm going to say, hey, it's U.S. history. I want to do some cool things. I want to show kids the skull of a 14-year-old girl who died at Jamestown and make them think about history. I don't want them to just plop it in front of a computer and write passable stuff. My class is going to be different. I want them to look at colonial seals and see marketing and baloney that people are trying to make you think something. I want kids to be aware of what's going on. And then also parents, you guys know what's really going on with this Google Classroom and distance learning stuff where your kids showing up on Meet and they're just on mute the whole time and their camera's blocked off, or they're sitting like this and there's no reaction whatsoever. Yeah, so like I've got two different things going on in my head. Which one do I go with? The sunny picture that makes me look better, or do I go with the realistic one? So think about that when you think about John Smith. I'll tell you later what I ended up telling your parents. So here we go. We have first and second Jamestown ship lists. So this is pretty darn close to a primary source. Primary source means it's the objective thing that was there at that time. Diary would also count. This is, would I call this a primary source? It's adapted from John Smith. So I mean, I feel like it's close to a primary source, not a perfect one. It's been adapted, but this is pretty darn close to a primary source. So I'd give this one a primary source rating. So let's see. It's a list from the ship, so it's telling us not who, but what type of people on it, because it says occupation. That means a job. So we've got two shipments here. The original settlers who came in May of 1607 and the first resupply from 1608. I would hope that they had a smart thing going on here. Then again, it's only, 6 months away? Did they have time to write letters, get it back? Or was this already like pre-planned and this is just what they're getting? Who knows? Let's take a look at it. So I wrote a note here. You guys can see my red circles, red box. I also put things in a yellow box. Take a minute, pause the video, whatever, but take a minute and take a look at my coding. Yellow or red. Guess how Mr. W coded this with color. Take a look at what I circled or boxed with red. Oh, you know what? I didn't finish it. Shoot. Here, watch this. Let's see. I'd put a blue thing next to this one. Kind of blue thing here. Boys. We don't need boys. You can read about boys down there. Refiners and goldsmiths. I'd maybe put a blue here, but like I'm only one. Perfumer. Holy, seriously? Why do we need a wig maker? Get out of here, dude. I don't need that in a brand new land where I'm struggling for survival and starting civilization. Occupation unknown. 28 people at occupation unknown? Why would I send 28 people if I don't really know what their skill is or why they're going? I always want you to know why you're doing something in my class. So you know what? Actually, I didn't make any mistakes. I'm mostly focusing on this. How many governors and gentlemen did they have? 6 plus 47. 53 out of 110. That's half of the population in Jamestown. I just did a Donald Trump thing. Anyway, sorry about that. 53 out of 110 people. You're telling me half my population is going to work to set up an entire new, brand new civilization. Half of them are governors, so leaders. 6. I have 6 different managers. That's going to be. Would you want 6 teachers at one time? And the rest are gentlemen. Now, this is key to one of the questions you have to answer, and it's probably the most important one. What the heck is a gentleman? I will give you a hint. It's down at the. It's on this page. The definition's in there. But I will tell you right now, you don't need 40. By definition, you don't need 47 gentlemen. That's the. I gotta be a teacher now. That's probably the worst decision that was possibly made. Why would you send 47 gentlemen? Now, if you remember the Pocahontas cartoon Disney movie, there was a big thing that basically this is why John Smith came in. Everyone wanted to just relax and chill out and kind of have this thing done for them because they were gentlemen. They wanted to go find gold and strike it rich. And that just ain't going to happen at Jamestown. That's not going to happen pretty much anywhere in the original 13 English colonies, especially the first several. That's not going to happen. So having this idea, it's kind of like kids that show up to class and sit in the back, and we're doing this again. The kids that sit like this in Google Meets and don't turn their microphones on and don't participate. Yeah, that's like gentlemen. We don't want that. That ain't going to help us make an awesome distance learning civilization, and that ain't going to help Jamestown survive. No wonder they went through the starving time. So if you haven't told by now, the red things I think are pretty darn completely useless. The circle, the blue circles are things that like, okay, I get it. Like I'd want one. They're not necessary, but they'd make things better. And then the last thing, yellow. I find these to be absolutely essential. Barrel maker. Mr. Williams, why would you need a barrel? Well, they didn't have Tupperware back then, kids. So what are you going to put water in? What are you going to put anything in that you need to store? You need a barrel maker. Sounds silly, but that's like an absolutely essential. Carpenter, guys that build stuff with wood, nails. Blacksmith, anything made out of metal that you need to make on the fly. You've only got one blacksmith? Are you nuts? Sailmaker. Well, they landed. They don't need sails anymore. True, but you got hundreds upon hundreds of yards of canvas, and you don't need it while you're not sailing, so you might be able to turn it into something. Or if you need to get away, you need to get away. So one of those, that's interesting. Bricklayer, mason, guys that work with stone and build things like permanent structures. You only have 2 guys that work with stone, not good. Taylor, are we going to need clothes in this new land where we don't really know the environment? Heck yes. They've got 1 of them. All these things. Gunsmith. I can't believe they didn't bring a gunsmith. And then on the next shipment, they only brought 1? That's crazy. So it's like the only thing that's increasing, like even all these ones that are absolute necessities in my mind, the only thing they're bringing more of is they brought more laborers, just kind of general laborers. Man, and they brought more gentlemen. The gentlemen want more people to work for them and do the work. That is still, in my mind, not going to be a successful colony. The other thing is down here. You know you're going to be running into crazy situations, so you're going to need medicine, you're going to need druggists, you're going to need a surgeon. They had 1 surgeon. Next shipment, they had 2 like pharmacists and 1 more surgeon. That's not good. All right, answer those questions. Make sure, this is a really important document. Make sure you do a good job. But this has also been the longest one. So I'm going to set you guys free. I'm on to document D. Document D, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to stop my timer, reset it. D. Is that a D? D. D. Whatever. All right. This is a tough one because it's just text. It's not a cool chart. It's not a cool graph, but I did put in some red things. Always, always, always check your source first. Ivor Noel Hume. Never heard of that person. The Virginia Adventure. The publisher is Alfred A. Knopf, 1994. I don't know too much about that. I can't really make a judgment. But 1994, is that going to be a primary or secondary source? 1994? That's 375 years after? Not a math teacher. I'm just saying I'm ballparking. Almost 400 years after? Definitely a secondary source. But he's getting it from somewhere. All right, let's check this out. In 1609, when was Jamestown first settled? Jamestown was first settled in 1607, so 1609 is 2 years later. We know. 1609, that's during the starving time. 1609 is definitely during the starving time. Let's see. We want to find out about Francis West and why he's going up the Chesapeake. That's strange, up the Chesapeake. They were up the James River, so that means they would have had to come out the James and back up further into the Chesapeake. Oh, here it is. Okay, it says, to try to trade for corn with the Potawatomi Indians. All right, so 1609, we're nowhere in the starving time, and this is a little trade mission. He's going with 36 dudes, so 36 men are sailing up the Chesapeake Bay to try to trade for corn. That's a large trade mission. Okay, although still part of the Powhatan's Confederacy. So remember, that's the local tribe. It's not just one little tribe. It's like one tribe that takes up a whole region, and it's usually associated clans or tribes that all fit under one, like we see here, a confederacy. Confederacy means like a group. So although still part of the Powhatan's Confederacy, the tribe, the Potawatomi, had seen less of the English than those closer at hand, and with luck might be more friendly. That tells us a lot. There's a reason why Francis West and the 36 guys are going far away up the Chesapeake, because they have to find Native Americans that aren't really used to these Jamestown settlers. That right there, that's pretty key. That this tribe had seen less of the English than those closer at hand, and with luck might be more friendly. Sounds like the Jamestown settlers have burned some bridges. Ooh, look, and so approved. That means they got lucky. They're going to have some trade. Let's check this out. Though West was able to load his small ship. Oh, sorry, forgot to keep up here. Let's see what I got. There we go. Though West was able to load his small ship with grain. Okay, so he got grain. Good. The success involved, some harsh and cruel dealing by cutting 2 of the salvage's heads and other extremities. Yeah, that's some of our old English here. All right, so they were able to trade, but guess what it took to get the Native Americans to trade? It took some harsh, and what do you think this word means? I'm pointing at you, so that means you guys have to stop and think and say something to your group. Harsh and cruel dealings. They had to get crazy with their swords and their guns. By cutting 2 of the savages' heads. They chopped off 2 heads, or at least sliced some heads. They chopped off 2 heads and other extremities. Kids tend to think that's fingers. No, if I'm chopping at someone with a sword, I'm cutting off someone's arm. That's an extremity. So man, yeah, this got real rough. This is a deal gone wrong. The ship and her life-saving, okay, here's a key thing that I put in this red box right here. Life-saving cargo. Ladies and gentlemen, this means that the settlement at Jamestown They needed this grain. They're desperate. This is in a starving time, and the other natives won't trade with them. So this is a life-saving cargo returned to Jamestown, and no one doubted that this new supply of grain would help, but it would not be enough to last the winter. Hold on, check this out. This is life-saving cargo. It's important. It's not enough to make it through the whole winter, but it's enough. Everyone needs this. Everyone's counting on it. On the other hand, decided the ship's crew, on the other hand. So they know this is life-saving cargo. They know the people of Jamestown need this to get at least partly through the winter. It'll buy them time. But check this out. The ship's crew decided that it wouldn't be enough for everyone to get through the winter, but it was plenty to get them fatly home to England. Guess what that means when we're talking about a shipload of crops and food? What is this crew, this important crew that went on a trading mission to save Jamestown? It worked. They had to chop some heads and extremities and arms and legs or whatever. But what are they going to do with the food? They're going to get fatly home to England. This should say fatly home no, it shouldn't say fatly at all. That means that they're going to eat it. That means they're keeping it for themselves like a fat little hamster storing up grain in its cheeks. Instead of going back to Jamestown, they're going to sail back to England. They're going to abandon their settlement. They're going to abandon everyone that trusted them to go do this. Holy shnikes, this one is getting crazy. So it was that Francis West, by the persuasion, or rather by the enforcement of his company, hoisted up the sails and headed out into the Atlantic, leaving the colonists to the Indians and to God. Oh boy, we're at just about 5 minutes, so just think about that. Francis West, he's the captain in charge of this little trading mission. He was persuaded. I wonder if he was persuaded or... Oh, you guys don't want to... Okay, done. I wonder if he had good leadership and he was just forced to do this because he was going to be killed, or I wonder if he switched like that. But he's going to leave. He and everyone else are going to head out into the Atlantic and leave the colonists, all their friends that are barely hanging on to life. They're going to leave them to the Indians and to God. That is one of the most morbid ways I've ever heard of leaving someone. And that's Jamestown. All right, answer those questions. Make sure you come up with thoughtful answers. Be gone with yourselves. Oops, sorry. There we go. Jamestown, source E. My E people. Backwards. Oh, I think that's a thing now. E-boys and disco people or whatever. All right, I'm resetting my timer. Ladies and gentlemen, don't worry too much about this stuff right now, but whenever you look at a source, always start with, whenever you look at a source or a document, make sure you check the source. We want to find out what type it is. Is it primary, secondary? Is it a book? Is it a recording? Is it a map? Is it an atlas? Is it a chart? And we also want to see if it's reliable. Does it pass our sniff test? Do we think that someone had a point of view that they were trying to get across, or is it just straight facts? So we check up here the source. Adapted from J. Frederick Faust. An abundance of bloodshed on both sides. England's first Indian War, 1609 to 1614. Woo! The Virginia Magazine of History and Biography, January 1990. 1990. Jamestown was settled in 1607. We're looking at 375 years later again. Is 1990, something written in 1990, going to be a primary or secondary source? I'm pointing at you because that means you guys need to answer that out loud to your group. What'd you guys say? Secondary, of course, right? It's going to be a secondary source. Now, should we trust this? Is it reliable? Do you think there's going to be bias? It's a Virginia Magazine of History and Biography. It doesn't sound like the funnest magazine, so it's one of those boring ones that talks about a chronology of English mortality in Virginia. It's pretty boring, so I feel like that's pretty trustworthy. I don't think someone's going to try to fool me. And just reading the language that they're using, it looks pretty close like it was taken from a primary source. So I'm going to go with this. I think it's definitely going to be reliable. All right, break down the title here. Chronology of English Mortality in Virginia. Oops. Chronology just means a timeline, like a timeline list of English mortality. Tell the people in your group, what does mortality mean? Death, yeah. So chronology of English death rates in Virginia, 1607 to 1610. So 1607, that's when they first show up. And 1610, that's going to be the winter, 1607 to 1610. That's going to take us through that starving time when they come out the other side. All right, so what we want to do is take a look. This one's a numbers one. This is definitely going to admit a lot of people died. And this one, we want to take a look at the source of death. We want to look at the cause of death, better word. I think that the big stereotype, Native American attacks. They remember that hook map? They plunked down right in the middle of all those Indian settlements. Oh boy, that can't work. Let's see if that stereotype is true. 14th of May. So that's when they first landed. So disembark, tough word. That just means they got off their ship and they're going to settle at Jamestown. They're going to start building their new home. Remember, they start with a fort. That should tell you something. So total population right now is 104. Ooh, right away, 2 die in the first Indian attack on Fort James. So the big deal for document E or source E is you want to keep track of the numbers games. So you might want to have a column of, cause of death, how many. Let's check this out. So 2 die from an Indian attack. At least 3 more die in Indian ambushes. Well, good news for us mathematicians or history teachers that aren't mathematicians. We've got 100 people. It's pretty close to it'll be easy to say what percent it was. So we've got 5 people that die from Indian attacks. So basically 5% start off and die within what? May, June, July, August. Within 3 months. 3 months. 5 people die from Indian attacks. But check this out. August, September, October. So in another 3 months, summer sickness kills half the colony. Well, which one is worse, Indian attacks or summer sickness? That's a great name. I wonder what disease it really was. But right there, we see half the population of Jamestown is going to die from summer sickness. We get a guy that's executed for mutiny. That's one. I wonder if I start seeing more like that, I'll pay attention, but that's just one guy. The Pamunkeys kill 2 colonists in capturing. Based on that word, that does not look like a white guy from England's name. Who do you think of the Pamunkeys? Talk to each other in group, answer that question. That's why I'm pointing at you. Pamunkeys. Yeah, Native Americans. So 2 more colonists. So far I have 7 people dying from Native American attacks and 50 something? Well, you know what? Let's do the math. For summer sickness, they went from 99 to 49. Yeah, so basically half the population, 50 people died from summer sickness or disease, and 7 are dying from Native American attacks. All right, let's look at 1608. Hey, look, there's a blue plus sign. We're starting the year January 2nd. We get 100 new people, so we're back up to 140. We can do this. We can survive. Now it's going to say Captain Nelson brings 20 in the Phoenix. The Phoenix is just the name of a ship, like Bird rises from the ashes, cool name, just a ship. So now our population's back up to, 2 people died, or two left, 2 went back home. Smith reports many dead, some sick. Does it say the cause of death? Does it say anything? It doesn't, huh? Should we just assume that it's a Native American attack? No, because look, it says many dead, some sick. It's obviously related. So once again, there's a sickness. We lose about almost 30 people die from sickness. But don't worry, we get more colonists. Newport arrives. Great, okay. So once again, now I think our total for dying from sickness is up to what? It was 50. Now we're adding about, I'm just going to ballpark. You guys can do more specific math. In fact, you guys better do more specific math. About another 30. Only 8 die. So now we're in 1609. 1610. Winter of 1608, 1609. That is not the starving time. That's not yet. I don't think. Let me double check. In the winter of 1609 to 1610. This is the winter of 1608, 1609. So yeah, this is not the starving time right here. Only 8 died during well-provisioned winter. They had a lot of food. That's good. Mid-January. 11 colonists die in a boating accident. That sounds like I'm not going to say it. We just had boating accidents. Shoot, summer, disease returns. 100 at Jamestown sickened, and half the number died. So half the number, 100, is 50. Keep that total running. I think we had 50, then about 30, now about 50, all from disease. We get a resupply, so we got to change our numbers here, but we're still looking at death of 120 men stationed near the fall. Now, look, we're in August and October, so this has to be in 1609, because remember, up here was the winter of 1608, 1609, and now we're into January. So this is 1609. Everything here down is 1609. We're starting to get to late summer, early fall, August to October. Of 120 men stationed near the falls, the Indians kill near half. We have a Native American attack. This relates to the other document. This one. Because this is document B, and it's showing a drought. And a drought is going to affect how much food you're going to have. And a drought isn't just going to hit one camp, one settlement of English guys. A drought is going to hit the whole region. And the big point for document B was Native Americans are also going through I wouldn't say the starving time, but Native Americans are going through this drought too. If they're going through a drought, that means they're having trouble with their crops. So check this out. All of a sudden, we get a big Indian attack. I can't tell you who started. I'm not going to tell you that the English are innocent or the English are only the evil ones, but something is going here in real life. There's a reason why there was an opportunity and 120 men were killed. Sorry, half of 120 men stationed near the falls, the Indians killed near half. Once again, of 100 men at Nansemond, Indians kill 50. So once again, they're killing half each time. 60 there, 50 here. All of a sudden, the Indian attacks are kicking up because at the beginning, it was just 2 or 3, 2 more. And now we're getting big things going on. I wonder why they were in so much more contact. Last one here. Powhatan's siege of Jamestown, the starving time, kills some 110 colonists from famine and disease, another 33 slain, 37 desert. Our population goes from 280 to 90. That means 190 colonists just died. So what we want to be able to figure out is the total number of colonists. We have to start with 104 and see how many guys were added. Sorry, how many people. So that's how we'll come up with the total number of colonists. A lot of kids get that wrong. Make sure you guys check your math with each other. Next thing, how many settlers died from disease and how many were killed by Indians? You gotta check that out, but it should be pretty clear by now. And then number 3, what generalization can you make about the numbers and causes of settler death in 1609? We just want to look from here down, where this one says mid-January through November to May. Oh, wait a minute. Look, that's a new year as well. We want to look just from mid-Jan to August, October. We just want to look at those. And I think, isn't that when a certain type of death kicked up? Was there disease? Oh, yeah. Oh, shoot, there's disease and attacks. That's interesting. And last thing is the big overall picture. What's happening from 1607 to 1609? Things weren't too bad. Hey, like initial meetings, stuff is going to happen. But what's happening over time? Things are getting worse down here. And it's got to have something to do with that starving time. There's a drought going on, bad placement, bad luck with food. That's a bigger picture. Attacks don't just happen in a vacuum. Now, maybe it's because the Native Americans are getting alarmed because these white guys keep showing up. But maybe there's something bigger. You guys get to figure that one out. Have a good discussion. Get from point to counterpoint and build up your arguments, build up your reasoning to the best possible answers. Thank you. All right. When everyone is done, when everyone's done, should be review docs A through E. We want to pick out the big central point, why so many people died. We want to be able to know this. I'm not going to kill you guys on, whoa, too morbid. I'm not going to count on you guys getting this on our short Wednesday. If we have time to talk as a wrap up on Thursday, we'll go over this. But I'm pretty sure you guys can figure this out. I think you guys might want to use this this slide to help you figure out what is the main point from each source. And then your guys' job is, here's your theme, here's your thesis for each source. A, B, C, D, and E way down at the bottom. How are you guys going to prove that with your answers and with the document? What evidence are you going to find to support these claims? So you guys are going to claim these things. Fill in the blanks. Pretty easy. This is a big word. Contaminated. Ooh, this is like 7th graders compared to 8th graders. Unskilled. Oh man, source B, we know when you don't have a lot of water, it's called when you don't have a lot of rainwater, it's called that thing. So what's going to be short? And bad blank, well, obviously, who are they dealing with? It's Native American. So what do they have a bad blank of? Bad something starts with an R. Source E, I'll work with you guys on that one. But I mean, the big idea, source E should be the morbidity list of how people died. And like we said, it's disease and sickness, disease and sickness, disease and sickness, until things start getting bad in that last year when there's a starving time. That seems to make relationships worse, and everyone gets a little on edge. So that's what we're looking for. Your job is to prove those things, support those things with evidence. I'm not going to worry about the claim evidence explain paragraph. we are all set on this. Thank you very much for sticking through it. I promise I will work on looking at the camera. Have a good day. Do your work.